Hey guys, it's Dawn again coming at you from my house here in Texas. Hey guys, it's been a very busy day of filming and uploading and editing, not editing, but uploading and filling out all the forms YouTube have you do to upload stuff. So it's been a very busy day. Hey, I just want to remind you if you're new here that I am coming to you in the name of Yehovah, who was, who is to come, our Creator, as a keeper of the commandments, fulfilling the Deuteronomy 13 requirement, keeping the front part of the book out of a love-based obedience the best I can where I'm at these days and times, validated by my Messiah's blood, my King and coming groom, his blood in the back of the book. So as from a consecrated prophetess of the tribe of Judah, as I have been told by my biological side. So I come to you with this, and I have a message for you from Father and some things that He wants me to share with you with open and loving communication. And just know that when I share these things, you will not be able to stand before Him and say you did not know. And the only hope you have is returning to Him. That's the hope we have. So, okay, guys, this is about a life change that Father took us through this past January. As you know from some of my videos, a few months before my dad passed away, Father gave me a dream about giving birth, that there was going to be a life change. And I started nesting really bad, nesting in the house to where you're pulling things out of the cabinet, you're painting the shelves, you're purging, nesting really bad. Well, this last December 25, I was nesting feverishly. Something big was happening, and I told my husband, something big. I haven't nested like this since Daddy passed away, and something big is about to happen, and I don't know what it is. Father's not letting me in on it, and that's okay, but what in the world is going on? Well, January 12th, I get a call from my husband. It was a Monday, and I get a call from my husband in his office parking lot saying that he had just been let go from the company that he had been with for 25 loyal years, 4 years before retirement. We are nowhere ready for retirement. Nowhere ready. The Father knows this. He knows this. So he comes home, and we start petitioning Father with deep, as I said before in other videos, the Hebrew word for fervent means boiling, with fervent prayer, crying, screaming before the throne. What are we to do with this? What do you want us to do with this? What is happening? What are we supposed to be doing? We did it together, and then we did it separately. So after a couple of weeks, my husband spent a good 3 hours in the closet petitioning Father, moaning and groaning before the throne, Romans 8, moaning and groaning. And he heard the audible voice of the Holy Spirit say, you will be doing something you've never done before, and you'll be starting at the bottom and working your way up. Okay. 3 days later, we're both on the floor of the parlor, crying out to Father, praising and worshiping and praising and worshiping and crying out to Him for direction. What are we supposed to be doing? Because we're not going to be able to meet our bills. What are we supposed to be doing? I don't understand. What are we supposed to be doing? Father spoke. The veil moved. I saw the watery veil move, and Father spoke. I'm not going to tell you everything He said because it's private, but Father spoke. He said, Sonny has been called to be a blank for my end-time remnant. So in other words, we're being repurposed for our end-time assignment. Sonny is called to be a blank for my end-time remnant. He will always have a job. I will sustain you through my people. You will do fantastic finances. So in other words, go look that up on YouTube with Christy Van. Fantastic finances. And then he named a character from a movie that we watch who does this same vocation. And it was this name. And I started laughing. I said, Father, oh my gosh, we are being repurposed for our end time assignment. Okay. This kind of coincides with the dream that he gave me personally about showing me my bridal gown and about getting ready for the end times and training me in the wilderness about miracles happening through my hands and things like that for my end time assignment. This is my husband getting repurposed, repositioned for his end time assignment. So the lessons through this journey since January 12th have been miraculous. You're going to love this. You're going to love this. The way Father has moved his people, the hearts of the people have just been so beautiful during this time. The people that love him and that love us and that know. He said, I will sustain you through my people. So Father knows our financial situation. He knows our issues. So, what Father has done since Father said you will do fantastic finances, I've been doing that for a couple of years, so I am well aware of it. So I took over the bills, and Father kept putting on my spirit heavily, trim the fat, trim the fat, trim the fat. Well, that just makes common sense. We need to trim the fat. I mean, we've been really trimming the fat around here, and it just, to the point to where we didn't realize how much, little bit here, little bit there, little bit here, little bit there was going out, and it was just really depleting everything, and we had to stop the bleed. And so when Father said, tell my people to trim the fat, guys, this is for you too. You need to sit down with your finances. You need to sit down with your loved ones who do the finances. You need to sit down with your families, and you need to tell them, an economic crash is coming. An economical crash is coming. The dollar's going to lose its value. The dollar's going to crash. There's going to be famine. The water's going to be affected, as I just talked about Apophis and wormwood, how it's going to affect the water. This is going to happen. And right now, while you have the chance, before it's forced on you, you have the chance now to start trimming the fat. You need to be living as minimal as you can. Depression era living, to trim the fat and save as much money as you can, to get as many, to tithe. You must give. You must increase your giving if you can. You must do that. Do not stop giving. That is a huge mistake. You must tithe. And 2, get as many items as you can that you can barter with, eat, drink, protection, medical, whatever. Just like Father told me in 2008, this is just practice, food, water, meds. This is just practice, food, water, meds. You need to be trimming the fat, and you need to be working on your faith and trust with Father. Father works best during these crisis times because our whole heart is dedicated to him, listening him, petitioning him, seeking him, waiting on him. When things are easy, we're not so much in there. But when there's a crisis going on, we are all in. But he wants that 24/7 from you. And this is just, it has just been wild. It has been naturally supernatural around here since this has happened. So let me share with you to encourage you about what surrendering 1,000% does with our Father. When he said, I will sustain you through my people, we have had people, when they found out that Sonny got laid off, they've called up and said, give me your grocery list for the week. Oh, wait, I know you have dogs. Do you need dog food? Oh, we're going to give you free eggs until Sonny finds a job. You're going to have free eggs. Oh, gosh, okay, well, do you have food? Do you have this? And then we've had some people who said, oh, good thing you're a prepper. You've got all this stored up. So let me tell you, we have not been released to eat from our jarred food that I've been jarring since 2018 because Father has made it abundantly clear that's for the remnant. That's for the remnant. We are released to eat out of our freezers, but we are not released to eat from our jarred food, because Father has now shown me that's for the remnant to bless others. So he's called me to prepare like Joseph, to prepare our wheat mill, our meat, not wheat, but meat room, because it's for the remnant. And I think that's beautiful. So it's like, okay, Father, we won't eat on it. You know our situation. And so even the people that were saying, good thing you're a prepper, and it's like, no, we're not released to, we haven't been released to eat that, because it's for the remnant. And so we just said, bless everybody. I mean, we were just blessing the people left and right in the midst of our crisis, in the midst of our chaos. And it has just been crazy supernatural around here. Once again, we had somebody else call who needed a deliverance over the phone. We did a deliverance over the phone. We had a friend call up, and this just blows my mind. This friend is so precious, and she's just so amazing. She called up and she says, hey, I've got some stuff for you. Can you meet me somewhere? And I go and I meet her in a parking lot up the freeway, and she opens up the back of her SUV, and guys, it's months worth of steaks, months worth of meats, months worth of meat. Meat better than what we were originally eating from. We're eating better now because of her obedience to Father and her love for him and us and blessing us. We're eating better now than we have before we lost the job, because Father is blessing us. He is blessing us tremendously. So get this bit. When we have apples go bad, when they start to wrinkle, I just slice them in half and put them in a Pyrex with some vanilla, and some cinnamon and sugar. And I bake them, and we have baked apples. We like baked apples. It's a wonderful little dessert. Well, during Thanksgiving, I usually buy a lot of the aerosol Ready Whip. Well, I had just used the last of our Ready Whip. Well, when friends were asking, hey, what do you need from the store, or give me your grocery list, I would never put Ready Whip on there, because I saw that as just a foolish want, not a survival need. I'm not going to ask for that, because I just thought that was just foolish. Well, Father woke me up at 4:30 in the morning, and he said, come praise me. Praise me. So I get up, I go to the parlor, I fall on my face, and I am worshiping and praising him and thanking him in this storm, because of this storm, working on our trust, working on our faith, and just crying out to him, destroying our ego, just destroying and screaming out an emotion, because it's our emotion that is the prayer. And I got through praying, and I got through praising. And I get up and I said, Father, I'm throwing out the fleece here. I'm throwing out the fleece. If this is really you, and you're really in this, could you provide us some whipped cream for our baked apples? It would really be nice. It's not a necessity. It's not keeping the lights on. It's not our mortgage. But could you provide some whipped cream for our baked apples? And I said, and it's okay if not. I'm just throwing it out there just in case. Well, getting up at 4:30 in the morning, I was exhausted that day, and then we had to go meet the friends to pick up our free eggs, and we were busy, just busy all day long, and trying to get training, looking for areas to train for this new vocational switch for my sonny. And then I get a call from this friend who blessed us with an SUV full of meat. She called and she said, can you meet me? I've got some more stuff for you. And I'm like, friend, this is the third time. You've already blessed us with 2 SUVs full of meat. Filet mignon, New York strip, T-bone. This is your third. Oh my gosh. So I go over there, and she opens up the back of her SUV. And what do I see sticking out? One Costco size of whipped cream. Not only the whipped cream, but it was sitting on top of more filet mignon. So not only did he bless us with some whipped cream for our baked apples, it was sitting on top of filet mignon. I've had filet mignon in this house in the last 10 years once, and it was during Passover. We've got more filet mignon in our freezer than we have our entire lives. Father uses his people to bless us. If they are obedient to the nudge, to the call, he blesses us. It was amazing. So we call it the miracle of the whipped cream. He said, yes, my child, I know it's a want, and that's okay. So guys, this is what I need you to learn, because this is what he took us through, and everybody we spoke to about this job change and what happened to us, the lessons we're learning, and what's coming on this world. You must trim the fat, because things are going to disappear, and it's going to be sudden, and you're going to be shocked. But trust me, God is for you. Your Creator is for you, and he's calling you now to trim the fat. And what he's requiring of you and us is the faith of the widow of Zarephath from 1 Kings 17. Go to 1 Kings 17 and look up the widow of Zarephath from Elijah. Not Elijah, but Elijah. Go look that up. Okay, sorry, I had to take a break. The dogs were going bananas, and it was about to get really loud in here because they're both behind me, but they just took off out that way, and they were going to start barking really loud, so I had to stop them. Okay, so guys, with what's coming, you're going to need to have the faith of the widow of Zarephath. This is why Father has taken us through this trial, to get us ready, one, for our end time assignment, two, to destroy our egos, to destroy us, to get us humbled, to reach out to him. So he's going to be removing everything in this world that could stand between us and him. If you're putting your faith in a job, he's going to take it. You're putting your faith in your gold, your silver, the money, he's going to take it. He's taking it all, because he said, okay, it's just you and me now. What are you going to do? Are you going to surrender 1,000% to me, or are you going to run to the mountain and call it to fall on you? What are you going to do? Are you going to trust the Messiah or not? So let me read you. Father called me to do a deep dive study on the widow of Zarephath. Let me read you my notes about that. I urge you to go study it. But this is going to help you understand the widow of Zarephath. 98% of the people that we talked to after Sonny got laid off, every single one of them, 98% of the people said, oh, this sounds like the widow of Zarephath they're trying to bring out in you. It was like, okay, we see this theme, and we even have a short movie about it. It's called the Miracle of the Widow. It's a little Christian movie, and we've had it for years, and we like watching it. It's just so sweet. But 98% of the people we talk to, oh, he's trying to bring out the widow of Zarephath, faith in you. Oh, we need to look into more of that. So let me read you my notes real quick, because this is what you're going to need to have to make it through with 100% surrender, okay? So this is the faith of the widow of Zarephath. One thing about her that I want you to see, that the kind of faith she shows is profound and costly, and that her story was during a severe drought in the land at the time of the prophet Elijah. If you remember, when Elijah consecrated a famine, and so the wheat didn't grow. And the big thing I want you to see here, When Father told Elijah to go to Zarephath, that he has called a widow to supply him, to support him, she was a Gentile. She was a Phoenician foreigner. So I want you to see, no matter where you're at in your walk, He's for you. He loves you. He wants all of you. He's allowing this to get you to turn to Him, not run from Him in fear. He's saying, return to me. I'm taking this away because I love you and I want you to want me, and I want you, I want 1,000% of you, and I want you to want 1,000% of me. Don't just look at to what I can do, but look at my character. And all my ladies that I disciple, you know that sounds familiar, because I always say you need to get to know Father. You get to know His character. Not what He can do for you, but His character. Get to know Him. Okay, so let's walk through this. Okay, her faith was born in extreme lack, not abundance. It's very easy to tithe when the bank account's full, when the pantry's full, when the fridge is full, when everything's going great. It's easy to tithe in our abundance. The test is, can you tithe with lack? Like the widow's mite to give to the temple. Can you give that last coin for God's work? Can you do that? Can you give your last morsel that's standing between you and death? Would you give that up? Would you give that up in faith to Father, to trust Him with it? Okay, so let's meet the widow of Zarephath. She was a widow, so she was socially and economically vulnerable. She was a Gentile. She wasn't part of Israel. She was outside the covenant. She was a Phoenician foreigner. She was starving with only a handful of flour and just a little bit of oil. That's all she had left. Because if you remember when she talked to Elijah, and Elijah came to the gates of Zarephath, and he said, "Woman, please fetch me some water in a cup." And while she was leaving to go get it, he said, "Can you make me a cake, a little cake?" And she came back to him and she said, and she was very open and upfront with him. She said, "I only have a little bit. I'm here collecting sticks, and I only have a little bit of flour and oil to feed myself and my son, and then we're going to die." And so she's starving. So she's actually starving, and her child is starving. Now, I know a lot of you parents out there would say, okay, it's okay if I'm hungry, but if my child is starving, no, they're going to get it first. I want you to look to the fact that the child is involved here, okay? Look to the fact that the child is involved here. The child is starving too. And here's Mama. Look what Mama did. Mama set a beautiful example with her son that she was going to give their last morsel to God's work. She was preparing her final meal for her and her son. And then a man of God shows up. Now keep in mind, in the scriptures, it doesn't say, look, if you give me your last meal, you're going to have all this come upon you and it's going to be okay. So she wasn't doing it to get. She was doing it out of obedience and trust. She heard the voice of Elijah. Not Elisha, but Elijah. The J, the Y. She trusted Father with this word. So this matters because her faith does not come from security or comfort. She isn't trusting God from a position of surplus. She's trusting Him when logic says the story is over. She's not trusting Him with surplus. She's trusting Him without security, without comfort. So let me ask you this, beloveds. When the economy crashes, when the dollar fails, when the jobs are no more, when the water has turned, and you have one bottle of water, and a prophet or somebody doing God's work comes up and says, "Can I have that?" Do you trust him enough to give it away? Do you trust him enough to look at your thirsty children and give it away? You're setting an example either way. That's a question I want to leave with you with that. Her faith is not optimistic thinking. It's hope at the edge of death. Her hope was in Father's promises. Her hope was listening to this prophet. Because he said, the very first thing he said, I believe, was, do not fear. In other words, he's saying no fear zone here, no fear zone whatsoever. We're not going to have fear. We're not going to have fear. There's no fear here. We're going to trust. Do not fear. Bring me a cup of water. And also, can you bring me a little cake? And she says, sir, I'm here collecting twigs to make a fire, to make my last cake for my son and myself, and then we're going to die. He says, go do as I say. And she does. Okay, she had a faith that listens before it understands. So I want you to hear this. A faith that listens before it understands. You don't have to know, we as mere humans don't have to know what Father's doing to have faith. Can you trust him? If you can't see him, feel him, hear him, sense him, get anything from the word, if you can't get anything from him, would you still trust that he is? Or is your faith based on what he does, not who he is? That's what he's getting us to. When Elijah asked her for water, then the bread, her response is brutally honest, and she explains the situation fully. Then Elijah says, do not fear. First make me a little cake, and then afterwards make some for yourself and your son. And I can just see her face going, but there's not enough for 3 people, 2 adults and a child plate. There's not enough for that. So this request he makes, I want you to look deeply into the request he makes. It defies common sense, it defies maternal instinct, and it defies economical survival. Do not put your faith in your bank accounts. Do not put your faith in any of that. You put it in him and trust him with it. Do not put your faith in your pantry. You put your faith in him with it. You say, Father, this is yours. You do with it what you want. Her faith is responsive, but not fully reasoned. Do you see the difference? She did not say, oh, I understand how this will work. Oh, I feel a peace about this. Oh, I see the provision already. No. She simply acts on a word that comes from God, mediated through a prophet. Her faith is full of obedience without the whole story. I'm going to step out in faith, and I'm going to give you the cake that we were going to eat and die. I'm going to give that away. The law of attraction. I'm going to give that away. And this is a faith that risks the last thing. God didn't ask her for something extra. Okay? And this was huge when I saw this. God didn't ask her for something extra. He asked her for everything. So remember when Yeshua says in the New Testament, in the Brit Hadashah, in the back of the book, when the rich young ruler goes to him and says, Master, what do I need to do to be saved? Remember that? And he says, go sell everything, because he was holding it as a god, and keep the commandments. He was told to keep the commandments. He was told to keep the commandments. Master, what do I need to do to be saved? Sell everything, because it was an idol in his life, and keep the commandments. It was a test. So this makes her faith, when she is asked for everything, the loaf she bakes for Elijah is not a donation. It's her last meal. It's her last meal. That makes her faith total, not partial, irreversible, not symbolic, embodied, and not theoretical. Okay? She puts her faith into action at the exact point where there is no backup plan. Now, I'm big on plan A, plan B, plan C. There is no safety net. There is no physical, material safety net. There's absolutely nothing. And she gives it away. She gives it away without a plan B. There's no safety plan. Her faith is not safe, but it costs her the illusion of control. Okay? The illusion of control. A job, a bank account, a full pantry is an illusion of control. I hope you can see that. It's a false sense of security. And if it was all taken away, would you trust him to live? And if you say yes, he's going to ask you to prove it here in this earth. If you say no, he's going to force it on you anyways, because he wants you. He's for you. He wants you to get to that point. What a loving Father that is. He wants you to get to that point. She's never promised riches. She's promised enough. Elijah said, your pot of wheat, your pot of oil will never run dry until the rain returns, because Elijah consecrated no rain over the land. But Elijah said, because she stepped in faith, you're going to have enough coming in, not an over abundance, but you're going to have enough coming in until the rain comes back. When the rain starts and the famine is over, the drought is over, then you will have enough. You will have enough. Just enough. He doesn't remove scarcity. He meets her daily within it. Her faith is not in a dramatic escape. Her faith is not a guaranteed future. And her faith is not in a visible stockpile. This is what I want you to see. Your faith should not be in your ability to bug out. Your faith should not be in a guaranteed future. I need to know for sure. No, your faith is in him, his character, and what you need to destroy in you to activate that, for him to respond. It is faith in God who will be faithful tomorrow and the day after that. This is a daily dependence faith, the kind that wakes up every morning not knowing how, but trusting who, just like the whipped cream. Father, if this is really you and you're calling us to this, could we have some whipped cream for our baked apples? But it's okay if not. So what we see in the Widow of Zarapheth, later on, we see Yeshua talk about her in Luke. Because of her faith, it crossed boundaries. She trusted God without privilege, responded when many religious people did not. Many religious people did not respond. Her faith is a rebuke to the idea that closeness to God comes from status, knowledge, or certainty. Did you get that? Her faith is a rebuke to the idea that closeness to God comes from status, knowledge puffs up, but love edifies, or certainty, that guarantee, that plan B. No. Guys, he's wanting you to trim the fat. He's wanting you to get wise about your finances. He's wanting you to start living a Depression-era style, just to trim the fat and be ready to tithe, be ready to give. He wants you to trust him because this is coming. So in summary, this is the kind of faith she has, and this is what we're going to need. Faith under desperation, not comfort. Faith that obeys before understanding. Faith that risks the very last thing. Faith rooted in trust, not outcomes. Faith that survives doubt and grief. It is a raw, costly, courageous faith, the kind that says, I don't see how this ends, but I will trust God with what I have right now. Guys, that's huge. That's huge. This is where my groom and I are at now in our walk. We are being shaken. We are being, our faith is being tested. We are getting the spots off of our bridal gowns. We are getting prepared for our end time assignments. We're getting prepared for the pod that we are going to be leading out in the wilderness. Father is preparing us with that. So far right now we have 12 people and 5 dogs that so far have said we want to go with you. So let me share with you a little bit about that. As you know, in 2015, Father told me, you will be helping your community with the greater exodus. You will be helping your community with the greater exodus. Father has then been training me in my dreams about the miracles that are going to be happening through my hands out in the wilderness to protect the pod that we are going to be leading out in the wilderness. We're going to be protecting that pod, and he's been training with me with my hands, through my hands, things that are going to be happening through my hands. Excuse me. So far since January, with everything that's happened to us, everything going on in this world, people are calling us and saying, hey, we see God is with you. We want to go with you when you leave. Is there room for us? So far, 12 people and 3 extra dogs. We've got 2. 12 people. So things are happening. Time is running out. Please, 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 please get on your knees and destroy your ego. Destroy anything that has been keeping you from Father. If you lost everything today and didn't know where it was going to come from, could you say, I trust you? That's the test. I love you guys very much. Thanks for the time. I know this is a long one. Forgive me. But this is coming, and it's going to happen quickly. Things are going to start happening quickly here. So we are running out of time, but we're not running out of love. And remember, love edifies. Knowledge puffs up, but love edifies. Consider yourself loved. Consider yourself warned. Start trimming the fat. People, start trimming the fat. Do what you can. And if you're already doing that, leave a comment down below to teach people who don't do that what they need to be doing. So we love that. Thank you, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.